Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, this is my tips and tricks guide for Bridget in Guilty Gear Strive. So as always, these videos are going to be on the longer side, so there's timestamps for you to skip ahead to whatever makes sense for you, because we're going to be covering a lot of topics from basic stuff to advanced concepts and all points in between. So once again, skip ahead to anything you want, although if you skip ahead, you owe me a like. So leave a like, please. Thank you very much. So now that said here, let's just talk the basics of Bridget before we get into the weeds. So what does Bridget offer here in Guilty Gear Strive? So Bridget is a lower health character, not the lowest, but a lower health character in that Bridget takes more damage and she has basically no guts rating. So her health does not scale very well when it gets lower like some other characters do. So Bridget will just kind of take more damage across the board. What does she get in payment for this though? Her range is way better than most of the casts. Effectively, she's the second longest range character after Axel. So the range is really good on just all sorts of stuff. It's just fantastic. The normals across the board are just really, really good. And of course, we'll have our notable normals section talk in depth about that. And the big thing is the setup. So Bridget has the yo-yo, and either you can toss it as a regular projectile, and while it's certainly serviceable and like the angles and space and all that, if you could spam it, it would be maybe the best fireball in the game, but you don't get to, right? But you can toss out the yo-yo as a projectile, or more importantly, toss it out and then it returns and hits along the way. And this is your set play tool. What does this mean? Well, Bridget's just basically about the setups. So you can either do it when the opponent's knocked down, force them to wake up. The thing's going to come back and then they got to be scared, right? And they got to be defensive. And while they're being defensive, you can hit them with the overhead, you can hit them with the low, or you can just toss it in neutral and now say, okay, I now own this part of space and it's going to come back in a second. So you got to slow your roll, right? And while you're slowing your roll, I'm going to run in after you. So space control, setups, mix-ups, all that kind of stuff. On top of just rewarding solid fundamental play, this is what Bridget's all about. Normally, the characters that are very heavy on setups generally don't have big buttons or rewarding buttons. Bridget can play it slow, or Bridget can play it very fast, just with setup, mix up, and you get to pick your role, right? If you want to go slow, then go fast. If you want to go fast and go slow, Bridget offers it all. So that said now, with that basic explanation out of the way, let's talk Bridget's basic special moves and super moves. Now, first, naturally, Bridget has the yo-yo tosses. So this is quarter circle forward, slash, or heavy slash, or quarter circle back, slash, or heavy slash. Now these are air-okay as well, but it's so important, we're going to give it its own section, because it's that critical to the character. So check the timestamps, there'll be timestamps specifically for yo-yo talk. So just so you know. Now that said, also directly related to the yo-yo, but we'll talk about it here, is rolling movement. So once the yo-yo is out, and it doesn't matter how it's out, it could be the attack version, it could be the placement version, as long as it's out. Then hit quarter circle back and kick. And this is air okay as well, so you can do this in the air just fine. And Bridget will do her best to wherever it is placed to attempt to roll to it. And it does hit the enemy along the way. So if the enemy's in the way, well, they get bonked, basically. If the enemy is, not in the way, well, then they're not in the way. And Bridget will just go through them one way or the other. Now, one thing to note here, this is important, and we'll talk about it later in Oki and pressure and all that kind of stuff sections. If you hit a button, because you are allowed to hit buttons, that's an important part of the move. If you hit a button, whatever button you happen to hit will end your momentum. And a lot of times you want exactly that. You want to stop the momentum dead. It's a big part of just basic pressure. Just to give a quick example, because we're going to go really in depth in it later on, but say I have you knocked down and I have the yo-yo out and I roll, right? Now, I can just roll and I'll hit you. Or I can roll and attack and that'll hit you as well. Or I can roll, attack right before I would hit you, stop, and then land at your feet. And this creates tricky high-low situations, right? So the move in and of itself, you rarely would use it just for the movement part of it. Perhaps in certain combos, but a big part of it is just the setups, the set play, the mix-ups. This is where this move is very, very important. Now, next up is Starship. So this is the uppercut. So as far as uppercuts go, it doesn't do that much damage, but it's invincible startup against strikes. So not many characters in this game have, you know, just the dedicated get off me button. Bridget is very lucky to do so. And since it is multiple hit, if you happen to have meter, it is mildly easy to hit confirm into like Roman cancel into a combo. If you're in the corner, as we have covered in the combo guide, and check that out because it is linked at the end of this video, you can Roman cancel, run under, attack, and combo out and break the wall on the other side, right? So it's really handy in that way. Now, like usual, you know, uppercut style moves here, it is strike invincible, but not throw invincible, so you can still be thrown out of it. And FYI, Bridget, her supers are not invincible in any way, shape, or form. So this is your only form of invincibility. So if you don't want to get thrown, you better learn how to tech or backdash, because this will not save you from throws. Now, kickstart my heart. This is quarter circle forward and kick. This is a very important move on multiple levels, and we'll talk about it a lot over the course of the video. So, on its base level, yo-yos are deployed as like roller skates and Bridget rides. Easy enough, right? Now, here's the thing. It is able to be manipulated. So if I do it and hold forward, as you can see, wow, I go pretty far, right? So here we are full screen. I don't touch anything. Well, we go about half screen, right? And if I hold forward, well, geez Louise, we go just about the full screen, right? Now, what if I were to hold back after the fact? Oh, well, we barely go anywhere, right? So the amount of you holding forward or back can manipulate the movement, and you can hold back a little bit, then hit forward, move back, all that kind of stuff. However you want to do it, it is doable. So that's great. Now, there is 2 follow-ups. It's not just the base move. So you can hit kick, and then whips the yo-yos like flails, like Bridget trying to be like Gold Lewis, basically, right? And this is basically your damage option. It is death on block, though. Unless you plan to like Roman cancel or whatever, do not do this move if you know you're going to get blocked. You will die. However, punch, this guy right here, the break, it'll stop Bridget's movement for one. And, well, it's safer. If you do it literally point blank, yeah, people can punish it. But if you mildly space it out here, it is for the most part safe. So if you're doing like, you know, strings here, like, oh, I'm gonna do a normal cancel into thing here, you can cancel into the slide, break the slide, and then be for the most part safe, because I also have additional pushback on top of it only being like -6, I think. So that's really good. So cornerstone move, you'll be using this a lot in a lot of situations. Next up, the Roger dive. So Bridget brings out Roger and just dunks with it. Now here's the thing, this move is only airborne. You cannot do this on the ground. And by itself, mostly safe. I believe it's -5 on block, mostly safe, and it has pushback on block as well. 2 hits, and the thing is too, you can cross up with it. So that's pretty handy, pretty handy. Also, it stalls your air momentum. So if you're in a situation here where like you're jumping in, or like you're doing like instant air dash or whatever, you can use this to change your normal air momentum. So if you keep jumping in, someone's just going to 6P all of your offense, right? You're too readable, you're not doing too good right now, right? You can do this, do the move, jump up, gain all sorts of new air momentum, make the 6P completely whiff. Like, you can use this basically as a mix-up tool. The damage is not that high, but you know, 2 hits, right? Easy Roman cancel candidate, you get more damage and that kind of stuff. It's not a bad move. It's a bit of a gimmicky move, but you won't get beat up too much for doing it. Now, certain characters' air options are better than others, or rather anti-air options, right? Maybe do this less against a Potemkin, you know. But still, combo fodder, sure. But the big thing here is just simply it changes your air angle. Your normal rate of fall is changed. All sorts of uppercuts, 6Ps, all that kind of stuff to beat out your air attacks. You can mess up their timing and dunk them with a bear. Now, rock the baby. Now, Bridget, I know Bridget doesn't look like it, but Bridget is a command grab character. Maybe not Potemkin or anything, right? But Bridget has a hop grab. So the grab's a bit on the slower side, to be sure, right? It is what we call reactable. If you're looking for it, you can definitely like react and jump out of it, right? But that's the key word, looking for it. And since it's slow, one of the benefits is you can just like toss stuff out and then cancel into it. while blocking, right? So it's like someone like Potemkin, if he makes you block and then he goes for Potemkin Buster, he's going to whiff because he can't hit you because you're blocking. But since this has the longer startup, you can just kind of go for it, right? You can mix it into your block strings. So that means people have to be extra on their toes to watch out for it. And of course, by itself, the range is actually fairly serviceable. You can actually sneak it out from pretty far away. So it's not like, Bridget's not like Zangief, right? Bridget's not going to win on the back of this move, but it's not bad. Also, Arrow K. Now, Arrow K version only grabs other airborne people, but if you hold it, Bridget will go all the way to the ground, and if Bridget's on the ground, then Bridget will connect with the bear grab. So once again here, you can cancel into anything, right? So people asleep at the wheel, and even the best players in the world will be asleep at the wheel sometimes, right? You can definitely sneak one of these bad boys in. Now, to talk the super moves. So once again here, Bridget's supers, neither of them are invincible. The only invincibility you got is the uppercut. That's it. So we have Loop the Loop. It's half circle back forward and slash. This is the classic Bridget super here. And yeah, just beats you up with the yo-yos. And by the way, Roger's beating you up too. He's doing like Fist of the North Star or like JoJo style punches while he's doing this. So don't forget that, right? But yeah, so basic super, you're going to end all your combos with it. This is like your Wallbreak super. This is the one that does more damage of the two. Not too much else to say. There are some gimmicks, and we'll give those their own sections. But other than that, it's kind of like your plain Jane damage super, right? Really good for wall breaks, and lets you get some extra damage in situations where you don't get too much extra damage, but we'll talk about that later. And then we have Return of the Killing Machine. This is half circle back, forward, and heavy slash. This frankly sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The idea is it's a fast traveling projectile super, which accurate enough, I suppose. But the damage is just so bad. And at any range, like, oh, I'm this far away. I watch you whiff a button, boom, I do that. But then I can just do this, you know, like I can just poke you out. Bridget's got the range. Like, range is not the issue with Bridget. Like, for the most part, this move is kind of a waste of bar. The one thing I'll say is it is Arrow K. So if you're in a situation where, like, you know, you're both on other ends of the screen and you just happen to be in the air and then you catch the big whiff, this is where, like, okay, I can get you. But other than that, honestly, I don't recommend this move. Bridget, save your meter, Roman cancels, and the regular yo-yo attack super. This one super here, it's mostly gimmicky. Okay, now let's talk notable normals. And Bridget's definitely got some, and we gotta start the show with the showstopper. So stand slash, stand heavy slash. So Bridget is a very long range character. Like, oh, old man Kai can't hit from this far away. Bridget absolutely can, right? To that point, stand slash, stand heavy slash are among the two longest range normal moves in the game, to the point where realistically only Axel outranges Bridget. Other big character ranges like Ramlethal, Potemkin, Testament, Bridget outranges those characters. And here's the really big deal. So Ramlethal, let's pick her because everyone knows Ramlethal, right? And we all know the stand S of doom and gloom, right? You know, okay, boom. So Bridget stand S, more range. Simple as that, right? And it has a disjointed hitbox as well. Not as disjointed as Ramlethal's, to be fair, right? But at ranges where Ramlethal will whiff, as you can see right here, Bridget will not. And that's slash, and heavy slash all the further yet. Now, so one of the reasons why Ramlethal's slash has always been held as like mildly ridiculous is not just the range, but the speed. So the speed is 11 frames. Like a lot of the characters with like range moves that are decent, they're usually like 12, 13, 14, something like that frames, right? Bridget stand slash, 10 frames. So not only does it have more range, it is also faster than Ramlethal's stand S. It's only a frame, sure, but you know, frames make the games, right? And okay, that's that fast. What about HS? Heavy slash, which has a lot more range than stand slash. Heavy slash is 11 frames. So Ramlethal's stand slash is exactly as fast as Bridget's heavy slash, which wildly outranges that move, right? Like Potemkin, his stand slash, also one of the longer range moves in the game, that's 12 frames. And heavy slash, way slower than that. And like Bridget's heavy slash is longer range than Potemkin's, by the way. So what I'm trying to say here is not only is Bridget's like comparable moves to other characters longer range, but they're also faster than their comparable moves. So Bridget is a range monster. Very big deal. Bridget will outrange the majority of the cast. So always keep that in mind. Now on top of that, there's follow-ups. Both slash and heavy slash have follow-ups. Just like hit the button again and you get it, right? And they knock down. And there's some Oki with that as well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, they knock down. So you do that. Oh, we can go forward. And also in the corner, here's the real fun part. They wall bounce in the corner. So if you're in the corner, these are special cancelable, by the way. I can get a lot more damage off a basic hit now. Now that I know you're somewhat near the corner, because that's how it's going to be, right? So the damage potential is definitely there. Bridget is a lower damage character, but once the corner starts happening, well, then the damage starts happening. Also, because they're just regular normals, slash chains in the heavy slash just fine, right? So easy peasy pokes. You can get a lot off counter hits, and we'll talk about that later in the video as well, right? But I just want to basically stress, slash, heavy slash, the big poke buttons are amazing. Now, yes, you can totally 6P them, because that's how this game works, right? These do have disjointed hitboxes, once again. Not as disjointed as Ramlethal, but they do have disjointed hitboxes, but they're not going to, like, save you from everything. But here's the thing. All 6Ps have that same weakness, right? So then we enter down S. So down S is not as long range, to be fair, but if you are expecting like someone try to next level you and they're going to 6P your long range button, well then just run up with a down S. Just dash down S. This outranges most characters' other poke moves too, even if it's not as long range. And then just go from there, right? So you can't be predictable with the pokes, I suppose. But, you know, this is this game, right? You can do a million other things. I'm just here to tell you, these pokes are the real deal. You're going to be using them a lot. All right, I know I talked your ear off already about the pokes, but Bridget does have other moves that are pretty decent. One, forward kick. So forward kick is not that special, honestly, in and of itself. The thing is the lights. They both combo into forward kick pretty easily. And from there, you can go into like Kickstart My Heart, get some easy damage. It's not big damage, but most characters don't get big damage off lights. This is just an option for you, right? It's combo filler, also safe on block. So if you don't know what else to do at bare minimum, you can end a block string with that, and you'll be okay. You'll lose your turn, sure, but you'll be okay. Crouch kick. Now, I know crouch kick isn't an especially cool move for most characters, but for Bridget, it is Bridget's single fastest move. That is why this is important. Comes in at 5 frames, so no 3-framer or anything like that for Bridget, right? But comes in at 5 frames and is Bridget's single fastest move. So at bare minimum, if you need to do something quick, the range is also pretty respectable, all things considered. If you need something quick, this is your go-to quick button. And also pretty important for setting up combo, like mix-up setups, that kind of stuff. Because this is where your yo-yo toss will be used a lot. We'll cover that later. So all in all, fairly important. Also, interesting, jump D. So it crosses up. Not the only cross-up Bridget has. Jump kick also crosses up here. But jump kick kind of sucks. Jump D, just easy cross-up, right? And you can make it somewhat ambiguous. The move has a little travel time at the start before it goes live. So if you air dash at the right distance, it's kind of hard to tell which way it's going to be which. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it has multiple hits, meaning pretty easy to hit confirm, right? If you want to go into RC and just kind of do whatever's from that. So if you're looking for the gimmick cross-up, this is your gimmick cross-up, basically. Close S. So close S, I can speak very highly of this move. So like many characters, like everyone likes their close S, sure. Bridget barely has any sources of plus frames. This is +1. So it's like not Javon or anything, right? But it's +1. And this is about what you get for plus frames. So use it already. That's good. The range on it's pretty respectable, so it can chain into itself on block, or as long as you're not like a little far out. Also, 2 hits, multi-hitting. Very easy to single hit confirm from, right? A lot of other like close S's, like, you're not single hit confirming. Like, you gotta commit to your next button. This, you can kind of let it rock. You can tell what's going on next. Like, oh, okay, I got my hit. Go for a sweep. Maybe I'll go for, yo-yo setup, or screw that. Maybe I'll go for a big combo, right? You get to choose. Or, okay, it blocked. It's plus. It's like kind of my only real plus move. I'll just let it sit, and then I'll keep pressuring, right? Like, I'll go try to hit him with crouch kick or something, our fastest move after the fact. So, yeah. It's important for combos. It's important pressure, but just keep in mind. Plus on block, very good. Bridget doesn't have much plus. And it's just, in and of itself, since it's multi-hitting, it is just a good hit confirm. So, just keep that in mind. Now, the other move to talk about here is forward heavy slash. This is one of Bridget's command normals. So, outside of dust, this is Bridget's single, most damaging move. So, in and of itself, right there, that's what you need to know, right? Outside of dust, single most damaging move. So, if you're able to get these in combos, get as many as you can just to make your combo do more damage. Now, as you can see here, wall bounces. Important for combos, because a lot of combo structures will use that, exactly that, because the wall bounce is very handy to have, as you can see there, right? So you're going to need it for combos, and it does have, because it is a heavy, it does have the big boy counter, right? And from the big boy counter, the launch, you can run up, you can do whatever, right? It's not safe on block. Get that out of your mind. Don't just spam it, right? But generally speaking, if you block a reversal or something, you have a guaranteed counter setup come up. This might be your best overall option. That or just crouch heavy slash yo-yo, whatever you want to do. But yeah, since it's Bridget's single most damaging move outside of dust, just something to keep in mind. Bridget obviously has tons of normals, right? But those are the ones that really stand out to me. These are the ones that make Bridget go. Okay, so now we're talking yo-yo 101. The yo-yo is the defining feature of Bridget, so we got to talk about it, right? So once again here, quarter circle forward, heavy slash or slash, that is the projectile attack. Quarter circle back, slash or heavy slash, this is the toss that comes back to you and hits on the way back. So in and of themselves, that's the basics, right? So slash versions will try to stay level with you. And this is if you're in the air or on the ground, wherever you toss it, it will remain level with you. The heavy slash versions will be angled. So if you're on the ground, it will try to angle upwards. If you're in the air, it'll try to angle downwards. Now, this is especially important for combos, as the angle makes most combos go one way or the other. So just really, really keep that in mind. Whenever you have a yo-yo up, and it doesn't matter which it is, it could be the return yo-yo, it could be the attack yo-yo, you're allowed to do the roll follow-up. And it'll do its best wherever it happens to be. Could be very far away. Wherever, it'll do its best to bring Bridget to it. It also hits along the way. Important for combo structure. You can also cancel the roll by entering any button, which is very important for mix-ups. We'll cover its own section, right? So that's some of the basics. Now, here's a very, very important thing. Don't just toss the yo-yo willy-nilly, because outside of okay, is it attack or is it returning, whatever, there's actually differences on when it comes back. This is super key. So if you do the return yo-yo, it actually comes back fairly quick. That's great. So you can see here, right? But if you do the attack yo-yo, it stays out so much longer. Specifically, this will be out for, I don't know, about 2 seconds, let's say. And if you do the attack version, it's out for about 4 seconds. It's roughly double the length. Now, this is both good and bad. If you're looking for constant pressure, the return yo-yo is strictly better, right? Because you get to do it more often, right? However, the longer version lets you do stuff like multiple rolls per combo. Certain combos need the longer version to be out. Like, if the yo-yo hits or not, whatever. That part's not important. It just needs the yo-yo to be out longer than the base return version, right? Because you need those extra rolls for the combo. And keep in mind, too, if you're just going to toss it to attack with it, that means you've lost the yo-yo use for twice as long as if you just toss it regularly. And tossing it regularly is valuable, because right here, okay, it comes back, right? So if I'm Ramlethal, okay, I'm going to come after you. Whoops, I get hit, right? it now says, I own this part of the screen. This lane belongs to me. If you come after me, you might get bopped. Now, to be fair, if you get hit, well, then, you know, it goes away, right? You don't get to play that game where it just covers everything forever, right? But it does say, okay, you have to play a little carefully now. You can't just come at me willy-nilly. I can pressure you all the same, right? That's fine. And if you're way too passive, I can just throw you while you're waiting to block the thing, right? But just keep in mind, it's basically area denial. Whatever lane it's controlling, wherever you are relative to it, it is a big, like, hey, you really got to watch your step. Because naturally as well, right? If it hits, you can combo after the fact. You can get full combos too. It's more than just the hit. Just the hit itself is great, but the threat that you can get even more and more and more damage after the fact, that's where the real money is made on this. So good for setups. We'll talk about the setups later. Great for setups. Good for like a desperation projectile if you know it's going to kill, I suppose. Really good for just controlling space. Between the pokes, between this, you're just saying, no, man, I am controlling your movement. The yo-yo is everything for Bridget. Okay, so now let's talk Poki, or Poki, which is a really stupid term, but whatever, we're going with it, right? So, Bridget, we gushed about the pokes, right? Like, the pokes are so good, and we got the follow-ups, right? So if you get the hits, you might as well do the follow-up, sparring a couple situations. So the thing is, the follow-up, as we talked about earlier, right? The follow-up is special cancelable. Like, if you get the bounce in the corner or whatever, you want to get the damage. Why not, right? Like that's great. Go for it. But you're not always going to be in the corner. And, like, you can absolutely run up after the fact, sure. But why work harder when you don't have to? What you want to do here, if you get either of the follow-ups, it doesn't matter how you do it. As long as you get one of the follow-ups, just cancel into Kickstart My Heart. And do the forward held version. Now, what's going to happen is, well, you're directly on top of the enemy as they wake up. Like, they have to tech roll. It's not a hard knockdown or anything, and you're just right on top of them. And you're right on top of them with frame advantage. So we're going to do the old jump test. Whoever jumps first has frame advantage. And when you know it, I jump first. And not only do I jump first, like, I jump first very early on. So I have heavy frame advantage here. And what this means is this. I can basically go into close slash right away. In fact, I'm so advantaged, as you can see right there, I didn't even get the first hit. Only the second hit of close S came out, right? So what this means is there is no possible button they can hit to challenge you. Unless it's something invincible. You are guaranteed to get close slash off, right? And, you know, depending on distances, all that, like, if you hit, like, absolute max range, maybe you might get, like, a slash instead or something, right? But regardless, your frame advantage is total. Whatever you do, you are guaranteed to go first. So if you're closer, go for close slash. If you're a little further out, you can do something like crouch S or something. Another incredibly active move just to cover the wake up. And there's not too much more to it than that. It's simply pressure. Once it's established, you know, if they mash a bit or whatever, you're going to get your free combos in. Take your free combos. They're free, right? Like, okay, oh, you hit buttons, I'm going to bop you with whatever combo, right? Do it. And, of course, once it's established, this is where the fun parts come in, where I'm just going to, like, walk forward and throw you or something, right? Like, it's a basic poke. You're going to win basic pokes a lot of the time against a lot of the crasts, which is great. And since you can just Kickstart My Heart, hold forward, and be directly on top of them, not only are you rewarded with the usual poke, right? You get the damage off the poke. That's, in a lot of games, that's all the reward you're ever going to get. But you also get to be directly on top of them with incredible frame advantage. And with incredible frame advantage comes incredible pressure. So, close slash, throw, leap grab. If you want to go for, like, gimmicks, like crossover jump D or whatever you want to do. Their only real options at that point are invincible reversal or backdash. So you can play around with it. It's basic, yes, guaranteed, absolutely. But basic isn't bad. Basic is a good thing. The best situations are the ones where you don't got to think too much, right? So poke, follow up. I'm super plus. Let's go. This is all you really need to know. And Bridget's really good at it. So now, just like the last section where we talked about Kickstart My Heart and how important it is for pressure, it also can lead to some of her bigger damage, as we can Kara cancel the follow-ups into our big damage super. So it's actually kind of not complicated. So Kickstart My Heart, do the move. And as you know, you have a punch follow-up and a kick follow-up. Doesn't matter which one you do. What you want to do is Kickstart My Heart, do the move, and then enter your super motion, which is half circle back, and then forward and slash. But what you want to do then is just hit one of the two follow-ups. Punch or kick, it doesn't matter. And then it'll look like this. And you cancel the follow-up on frame 1 into the super. Once again here, whichever particular follow-up you do, punch, kick, doesn't matter, right? Just do Kickstart My Heart, quarter circle forward and kick, then enter the super motion of half circle back, forward, slash, and then when you do slash, hit punch or kick at the same time, and you cancel the movement into the super. Where can this be useful? Well, let me give you an example. We talked all about Bridget's pokes. Bridget's pokes are so good, this, that, and the other, right? Great. So say we land one of them. Preferably no. Heavy slash, because that's just more damage, right? Okay, and if we get it, cool. Free Kickstart My Heart, get a little damage in, right? But what we can do is our technique. So get our hit in, heavy slash, get Kickstart My Heart. We can get the hit in too, by the way. That you're allowed to get the first hit in. And then do our Kara technique, cancel into it, and then we get a little bit more teeth on the random stray poke. You know, maybe it's not like Potemkin damage or anything, but Bridget being a lower damage character, getting damage anywhere you can take it is very valuable. Also in situations where you are in the corner and you get the wall splat, but you're a little far away. Like, oh man, sick, I hit him, right? And I want to super after the fact, but you know, I'm a little far out, right? So no dice. But regardless of what the combo is, just use that technique, and all of a sudden, we can just roll just a little bit forward, and we can just get that extra bit of range we need, and now all of a sudden, you get your super, it connects, you get your wall break, you get your positive bonus, everything is gravy. So, not the most important be-all, end-all technique, but it is a technique that when you need it, it'll get you more damage, and you'll be glad that you knew how to do it. This is just a quick one here, but Bridget's corner carry is fairly substantial, right? And I'm talking just like off basic hits. You don't need anything like magical here. So I'm just going to show you an example combo that basically takes you corner to corner. So there you go, corner to corner, and we also get a wall break on top of it, right? So that's really handy to know. Now, one real thing here, real quick, I want to tell you, this is only possible thanks to the quarter circle forward, the hit version of the yo-yo. Because once again, as we talked about earlier in the video, it stays out longer. And because of the fact it stays out longer, this is why we're allowed to get multiple rolls in one combo. Also, you saw it kind of like cross-corrected. You can be a little sloppy with this. The close slash, even if you get it backwards, they kind of overcorrect over your head, and then they still wind up going the same side. Also, pretty universal. I'll show you an example on a much heavier character like Potemkin. So Potemkin, if you're very literally in the corner, it won't go wall to wall. If you're like 2 pixels out, yeah, we'll go wall to wall. So I'm not even necessarily saying this is like the optimal combo or anything, but it's just to give you an idea that Bridget, if you're willing to apply like a Roman cancel and use judicious use of the rolls, you can go corner to corner, like very literally with this character. So always aim for those wall breaks, get that additional damage. Bridget being not the high damage character in the game, those wall splats, those wall breaks, very valuable, and you can very easily do it if you have at least 1 bar a meter, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's get into the meaty stuff here. This is all about Yo-Yo Mix. So the basics of yo-yo mix is this. Knock down the enemy however you do it. It doesn't really matter. As long as you knock them down, and when they're knocked down, you toss the yo-yo. Specifically, the return yo-yo. The yo-yo that hits along the way, like, you can still do your roll, and the roll is critical to the mix. But what gives this a lot of extra power is the fact of the return hit. So if you get your hit, well, then this can help with your combo that you're going to land. And if you got blocked, things didn't go your way, the return yo-yo will help cover you, basically. It'll help you keep pressure, keep it your turn, and maybe you'll get a chance to try again. So the main way to do this is basically anything off sweep. Sweep is a true hard knockdown. You can't tech roll it. You can do crouch kick in the sweep, close S in the sweep, as long as you toss it. In fact, another way to do it is off your pokes. Those amazing pokes we keep talking about, right? Because you can go into Kickstart My Heart from there, and if you aim it correctly, Kickstart My Heart will end. The counter hit will give you just a little bit more frame advantage here, and you can go right into something like kick into dust sweep. So basic stuff here, however you want to do it. You have multiple avenues to knock down the enemy, toss your yo-yo, and begin the pressure. Now, what do you do once you've knocked them down and you've tossed the yo-yo? So once the yo-yo is tossed, the core of the mix is this, and this is just, of course, the main mix. You can invent all sorts of ways you want to do this, but the core of the mix is this. You do your roll towards the yo-yo. And the enemy, well, they're knocked down, so you're rolling right at them. And the thing is, okay, I can cancel into a button, right? So I can either attack you like with the roll itself, although that's not as preferable, honestly, other than a situation we'll talk about in a moment. But we'll just attack you as you wake up. So I get to you with the roll, and then as I'm on top of you with the roll, I cancel into whatever button. Can be kick. Can be slash. In fact, for slash, let me give you a bonus here. If you do the tiger knee technique, so quarter circle back, which is the roll, and then up back, you'll do the jumping version of the roll. And if you do the jumping version of the roll, you'll actually get both hits of your close slash, or rather your jumping slash. So it just makes it a little more consistent if that's the button you want to use. If you want to use jump kick instead, you don't got to worry about it as much, right? But just so you know your options. So one more time here, just roll. Okay, whatever air attack, that's overhead. They have to stand block. But once again, as we talked about earlier, any attack when you roll will cancel the roll. So now I can do my roll and cancel with the attack, and then I just land at your feet. And while I'm at your feet, I can go low. So now we're in an immediate like overhead low situation. And it's not one of those fuzzy deals necessarily, because since I'm canceling the roll early, I can go into kick right away versus I kind of wait out the roll for the other kick. So I can hit roughly at the same time. It's not just, it's always going to be overhead then the low, and then you stand block, then crouch block. You can change the timings on this. You can cancel your roll early. You can cancel your roll like really late. Like there's all sorts of timing. So it's not just a simple fuzzy guard situation. Doesn't work that way. And from there, well, that's the basics. Will I cancel and go low, or will I stay in the air and go high? And from there, well, I get all sorts of combo opportunities. Like, say, example, I go low. I can cancel crouch kick into forward heavy slash. The big butt slam does a lot of damage for a normal. And then at that point, the yo-yo returns and bounces him up. And then I can just, well, combo out. So that's an example of going low, right? I knew I was mildly close to the wall, so I might as well take the wall break, get some extra damage. And of course, that's one example of many combos. You can invent whatever combos you want, because the returning yo-yo helps make a lot possible, because we went crouch kick into forward heavy slash, right? That's not exactly prime combo material in and of itself, but since we have the reliability of the yo-yo returning, it makes stuff possible. Now, let's use an example going overhead. So same idea. We just want to get whatever knockdown. Doesn't matter how we get it, as long as we get it. And then do our return yo-yo, and we're going to run in. And this time we're just going to go high instead of going low. So that example there, I used the yo-yo, and you are allowed to do the roll up until the yo-yo, well, comes back to you all the way. So even though it was on the return in my combo structure, since it wasn't on me just yet, I could confirm with close slash that, okay, I'm getting my combo. Okay, let's go into roll now, and just kind of re-combo out from there. Now, once again, due to the nature of the combo structure, you can just invent any old thing. Whatever works for you. If you want more corner carry, go for more corner carry. If you want more damage, go for like whatever you want. The nature of these combos is incredibly freeform. It just all comes down to, am I going high or am I going low? That's about the long and short of it. And like right there too, like, you know, crouch kick into sweep into yo-yo return. That's a combo. It juggles. You can do whatever you want. The limit is simply your imagination on the matter. Like, I definitely don't have the optimal combos right now. I have the combos I know, and next week I'll have something better. The week after that, I'll have something better. This is a work in progress, right? But that is the crux of the mix. It's a basic mix. It's just high-low, right? But it's a really good one. And generally speaking, if you get it, you're working your way to the corner, you'll probably get a wall break. If you get a wall break, you get that nice juicy damage. Bridget's a low damage character. That's really good. So one more time, I just want to really hit it home. Knockdown yo-yo. Go high. Knockdown yo-yo. Cancel, go low. Simple as that. And yes, for your benefit, it is absolutely able to be safe jumped. So if you have an inkling that nasty old Kai or Leo or Soul or whoever is going to, you know, try to do the thing, you can do it. Now, and yes, this is for both options. If you wait long enough to go high, you can still block in time. It's a little trickier, I'm not going to lie, but you can cover both the low and the high options. Safe jump. Just make sure you hold back when you're just doing whatever option so you don't get uppercutted. Okay, next section here, directly following from the Oki section, as it is part of it. I know there's a certain thing a lot of you guys, you sickos out there, you love. And what is that? Well, it's exactly what you just saw right there. What happened there, right? That's fuzzies. So, Bridget can create a situation where, while you are forced to block, Bridget can 50-50 you on the spot, basically. So once again, let's play this out in slow-mo. Okay, I stand blocked. But okay, we just double block there. No, I want to crouch block. So now let's try this again here. I'm going to crouch block after those hits. So there you go, right? I was holding down back. I'm trying to crouch block, but I'm forced into the stand block animation. So I got bopped. I got 50-50'd. If you do not block this correctly, Bridget, well, after the fuzzy, she gets like full combos and stuff, right? So it's very valuable. Now, obviously, it's a little different than the other Oki setup, as you saw, because we're using the actual roll attack. And the roll attack in and of itself, that's not the mix. You're just basically always going for the overhead after the fact. And the thing here is, you can just as easily go for the low after the fact. You don't have to commit to the fuzzy, right? But if you do it this way, you roll into the enemy, hit him with the overhead, and then that point, they have to guess, are you going high or low? If you go high, just jump cancel that hit. Just do something like stand, or jump P rather, and it'll work. The yo-yo returns since I'm on the other end. Then you can actually combo landing with like jump S. And if you go low, then just go for whatever normal combo you're going to go for, right? It's pretty simple. The one thing I want to note here is do not do the roll as fast as possible. If you do it as fast as possible, well, one, if they have DP, it's just that much more obvious to uppercut, right? But if you do it as fast as possible, it'll move them past the range of the yo-yo return. And then you won't get the hit. So just tiny delay on it. Tiny delay. and then the yo-yo return will still connect. Really that simple. So one more time. Do whatever the usual setup is. Roll, kick, and then either up and punch for the instant overhead fuzzy. Has to be stand blocked. If they try to crouch block, they cannot return to a crouching state. They get overheaded. Or just roll, kick, land, go for a low, combo out. And of course, naturally, the best possible option is it just like connects, right? And then you can just do whatever combo you're going to do, right? So no big worry there. So if you're looking for an additional layer of gimmickry, this fuzzy overhead setup is what the doctor ordered. So a note on wall breaks and supers and safe jumps. So whatever combo you do, you generally want to end with super. Bridget, low damage character, you need to get as much damage as possible. And also, there's a bit of a safe jump right there. So every time you wall break, you get the hard knockdown if you use a super. If you wall break without a super, they just tech and roll, right? This always gives you a guaranteed hard knockdown. And it is exactly advantage enough to give you an instant dash into slash and still be able to block in time if the enemy chooses to do a reversal to you. So that's great. And, well, that's about it. Not too much like high science here, I guess. You just want to wall break with super. It's to your advantage. And you get a nice safe jump set up off of it. And if they block whatever, you're still plus. If you get a hit, you get a combo. Great. And you keep yourself safe while doing it all. And in our final section here, just some random little tidbits, I suppose. So one, the bear super. We've talked it up quite a bit. It's kind of the go-to super if you're going to use it, right? You can actually Roman cancel out of that. Because the bear keeps attacking even if you're not there. So if you happen to be in a rare situation where you just gotta like take as much damage as you possibly can and like just get something, you can do the bear, provided you have 100 meter, do the bear, Roman cancel after it, and then still get more hits in while the bear is attacking. That is the power of teddy bears in the Guilty Gear world, I guess. So probably will very, very rarely come up or ever really be a thing, but when it does, now you know. Another thing that's kind of important about Bridget to know is, at least to me anyways, weight classes affect Bridget more than pretty much any other character. Like, look at this. Doesn't connect, right? And ideally you'd think, nor should it, but change to a lighter weight class character. And now we have May, who weighs less. And sure enough, that connects. And not only does that connect, like we can get follow-ups, like we can do all sorts of stuff, right? So Bridget has a lot of different potential against the lighter characters that straight up she does not against like medium or heavy characters. So just keep that in mind, that there's a world of things you can do against the lower weight classes, or the lighter rather, I guess, weight classes, than you can against everyone else. For Bridget, like, it's good to know the universal, learn that stuff first, but say if you try a specific setup, make sure to try it against different characters because it might not work on everyone. Also, keep in mind to be inventive with a lot of the gimmicks and mix-ups, right? Like, we use a lot of the straight toss because, well, it leads to a lot of the best stuff, but we can use the high toss, right? And not only, do the roll here, like, we can do cross-ups, we can do fake left-rights depending on when we time our dust attack. So it's more than just high-low. You can also left-right. The left-right is not, at least in my testing at this time, as damaging or necessarily advantageous, but just more layers of mix is definitely very welcome, right? You don't need to be predictable. Also, if they try to like wake up backdash or something, these options will be much more likely to catch that than the usual high-low fare. And that is the tips and tricks guide for Bridget in Guilty Gear Strive. So Bridget as a character is both simple and complex, because the simple part of her game plan is just hit buttons. And I think everyone understands that at a fundamental level, right? Good buttons, good times. But then the mix-up get involved, all that kind of stuff, and then you got to start using your brain a little bit more. And the big thing is there's going to be so many setups, so many mix-ups, so many gimmicks, and well, I've given you the building blocks, a lot of those in the video, but there's a lot more to be discovered in the future, and hopefully maybe you're the one to discover them. So Bridget, for my money, is pretty cool. Bridget is fun at a basic level. I was scared Bridget would be a lot more fragile, or more fragile than she currently is. She definitely doesn't deal taking damage too well, but I thought it was going to be like chip level, and it's not, so that's great. And I guess time will tell, but in this early stage, I think Bridget is a pretty decent character. Maybe a couple months from now, Bridget's the dog dirt worst character in the game, and I'm dead wrong. I don't know. But my early gut feeling tells me Bridget is at bare minimum decent, if not pretty good. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully this video has helped you out. So if you got to the end here, if you could drop a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. And otherwise, well, I guess we're done with the video, my friends. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Guilty Gear.